Back to Sao Paulo, Brazil in the 1994 Formula One Brazilian Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher is the race leader. Ayrton Senna runs in second and is pushing hard, trying to make up the gap when Schumacher passed him during a pit stop to take over the race lead. Second round of stops now. This is Senna.
Senna pulling his hair off yet. Improve his vision. And away. Well, it's a nice clean stop, 8.5 seconds. It was a two-stop strategy. No more pit stops for Senna.
No pit lane speed limit either.
No.
The way they rock it in and out of the pit lane just makes your hair stand on end, doesn't it?
Now, bear in mind, guys, that the Ford V8 we had in this car in the B194, we'd done thousands of kilometers in testing, but we'd only managed one full race distance in testing. We couldn't get the engine to last to complete a race distance, so we'd done one in the final few days flying out to Brazil, so we were extremely nervous.
Fingers crossed in that pit, I bet.
Now, we were out in front, but we wanted to back the engine off as much as possible to try and improve its reliability. And Senna, of course, was aware of that. He was perfectly aware of the situation with the reliability of the car, and he was pushing as hard as possible to try and force Benetton's pace on.
The sun beginning to poke through the clouds as Schumacher makes his second stop.
So here's somewhere in there's our man Matchett.
Where is Senna? Can he get to the end of the pit lane before the German comes out?
Oh, another good stop. Oh, he nearly stalled it in when he left, didn't he?
8.5 seconds we saw for Senna. There's the time, 7.4. So a second up again on the Williams pit stop crew.
There he is, crossing start finish. Approaching turn one, Schumacher is long gone.
Yes. Down by the Descida do Lago, already out of sight. Wow.
What went through the Brazilian's mind, flying down this straightaway? Could he possibly have imagined that it would be the last time?
I tell you, we talk about images that put a tingle down the spine. That's one for me right there. Senna driving that Williams, and just the roar, the airbox noise of that V10 behind him. Just fantastic footage.
This was to be the super team. Ayrton Senna joining the supremely powerful Williams-Renault team that had taken Alain Prost, his old arch rival when they were teammates at McLaren, to the World Championship. It seemed like such a slam dunk at the beginning of the season. Could anyone challenge Senna? As Michael Schumacher begins to show here in Brazil, there definitely was someone who could. Welcome back to Formula One Decade here on Speed Channel. Bob Varsha, Steve Matchett, and David Hobbs with you in March of 1994 as Michael Schumacher still...
Boy, look at this. Damon Hill in the all-conquering Williams about to go a lap down to Michael Schumacher in the Benetton.
That is indicative of the pace that Schumacher and Senna were laying down.
That was so... Whoa! Just a touch there as Damon tried to shut the door, but a little bit too late. I think he just tugged his front wheel on the back wheel of the Benetton there.
Well, Damon would be aware, of course, of exactly the situation and would be wanting to keep the Benetton behind him at all costs to try and give his teammate Ayrton Senna a chance to get up behind him. So he certainly didn't want to get out of his way until the very last minute that he had to, without being flagged and penalized for it.
Not the last time those two would touch wheels in 1994.
No.
Taking the gap back to the second place car of Senna.
Just 20 laps to go.
There's Hill. Watch Michael Schumacher in the corners, leaning his head over in much the same way as Jean Alesi, who leans his over as far as anybody I've ever seen.
Here he is, and there's the gap. There's the graphic, 6.3. So, as we were saying before, teammate Damon Hill a lap down, and Ayrton Senna behind the sister Williams.
Down to 5 seconds.
Yeah. I noticed that same number. Senna goes by Hill.
Hill give me plenty of room there.
Brief look at Pedro Lamy.
Quite a lot of moisture content in the air as well. See those little contrails?
Yeah, a lot. We've been noticing that all along, especially off the Williams.
The Lotus was outmoded technology in 1994, but it was still a very tidy and pretty race car. Not capable of dealing with cars like this, though.
The gap hardly changed from 6.33 to 6.21. Obviously not enough with just 18 laps to go. But of course, someone like Senna would never say die. You've got to keep the pressure up because you never ever
Push.
But of course, they'd had such an incredible year the year before in 1993, so they'd done a lot of development on that engine during that year.
Gentlemen, I hate to break in, but Steve, this is going to make me crazy. Who is the gentleman handling the pit board for Michael Schumacher?
It's a guy called Stuart who used to do our catering facilities for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. I knew him, yeah. That's exactly who it is. I thought it.
There's Jean Alesi in fourth, yes.
John Barnard, one of the great legendary designers of all time, for me, ranks alongside Colin Chapman. And yeah, it was a superb looking piece of machine. All we could now is as the Benetton team, the car had been refurbished.
Oh,
there it is.
Engine running, but
and
not
stalls
now.
it.
Stalled.
Boy, that was unlike Ayrton Senna to stall.
It was a very rare mistake, but one he did admit to. That he just lost the car, and I think he was trying to get the car pushed out of the way, but the engine stalled. And I can only suggest that that was a result of his relentless pressure.
Oh, wow, that's that corner coming up to start, finish straight there. A relatively benign corner normally. You very rarely see people spin there, but obviously he just legged it a little bit too soon, gave it all it had got. And maybe these guys were still just getting used to the fact that they had lost their traction control and their other mechanical aids a little bit, and just overstepped them out.
So Senna coasted across the track to a stop.
Because that was a classic power oversteer. There you see his heart rate. Still only 164. Mine's higher than that now.
That's something I'd like to see more of.
Yeah.
A terrible result for Williams, and what a blow. But as we've just been talking about race reliability, now the sign was out to Michael Schumacher, and Ross Brawn was on the radio as well. Ease back, cool it, drop the revs a little bit. The main opposition has gone. Ayrton Senna and Williams have retired from the race. Pull back, and now we should be just be able to cruise in relative term to take this race victory. But now we could back that revs off just a little bit, and it made a huge difference. It was a big sigh of relief all around the pits.
And an incredible stat there. Michael Schumacher's first, Damon Hill is second, and we know that he is a lap and some change down.
There is Stewart. And that was going to be my point, David, that he has a lap in hand. Senna out.
Senna out. That's all that Michael will need. We did tell him on the radio as well, but now Michael Schumacher will be able to just re-gauge things, cool it off a little bit. That's what it needed.
The sun coming out over the racetrack after a cloudy day, but the sun was gone for the fans. You see them headed for the exits because their hero, Ayrton Senna,